Start over.
Does that work?
I can never redo what I did.
Can you hear us out there? Oh.
See, I told you guys I told you guys.
Okay, so
Can
we're
they
back.
hear
Can you
us?
hear us?
Yeah,
Give
now
us a
they can
message
hear
if
us
you
because we turned it down.
Sh-
So, I don't know what we should do from here. Well, we couldn't hear us
Pardon the
apparently.
interruption.
Yes,
Yeah, for about
sorry.
10 minutes. But we have a special guest, Elena. She is a deputy with Franklin County.
Yes.
And she's a Leo wife to the star on Live PD, Franklin County, Ohio, Sergeant Williams.
Yes, ma'am.
So welcome, Elena.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Sorry, we're kind of repeating this a little bit because we had no audio, guys.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So we'll go. Now you can tell us some of the questions that we were going to ask you since.
Man, I really am bummed that nobody saw that, heard your masked piece.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to keep it covered for now.
That was the best ever.
Yeah.
I will bring out the funness on another day. Yo, missed it. Sorry, you're lost.
Should we like retry? Should we
Stay
try it
for another
again?
day.
Start from the beginning.
It's not going to be the same.
No.
Okay. So I was asking Elena about her husband's Twitter. I was kind of being nosy.
Yes.
And I noticed that he didn't have Twitter until 2019 of January.
Correct.
And he's up to 3,500 followers.
Yes, ma'am, he is.
So you were telling us that you helped get him up.
Yes. So when he knew that he was going to be on the show, he got a Twitter account because he saw Cooper and Crosby were doing the same thing before. And so between himself and myself, just kind of directing people to him, saying, hey, he's going to be on the show. Look out for Sergeant Williams and also Sergeant Valentine, who was on the show with him as well. And so between the two of us, collaboratively, we've been able to get him a lot of followers, increase those. And he loves his followers. He looks at them as his family.
Right,
So-
right.
And we had mentioned earlier that you have 1,600 followers, which is a lot in its own.
Yes.
it is.
But we also wanted to say, start following Deputy Elena.
Yeah.
Sure. Why
Yeah.
not?
She's the woman behind the man that makes that.
That's right. That's right. And every morning I get up and I'm a woman of faith, so I praise God every single day. But I also
Absolutely.
post different scriptures from the Bible and also motivational things to just get your day started and to make you feel better. And I just love it.
I
So-
love that. That's on
Yeah.
your Twitter?
It's on my Twitter.
Oh, that's
Every
awesome.
morning.
What's your handle?
It's lbaby1230.
Oh yeah, girl.
There you go.
So
Well,
lbaby1230.
That's right. It's kind of embarrassing for me to mention, even let people know, but I think we're only like 123 followers.
Well, we need
That's
more.
okay. I can start sharing your stuff.
There we go.
Getting people to follow you.
Yeah, like we're horrible. Well, she don't do Twitter,
I don't.
and she was supposed to do Twitter.
I don't do
But
Twitter.
guess who got left out?
The pro.
And I just, to be honest with you, I just started. I haven't been on it. Maybe I started November of last year. So
I'm
I
a little
haven't been on
tech
it that
challenged
long.
myself, so that takes a while to.
But you have to
Get the hang
constantly
of it.
post because I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
have time for
Not
that.
really. I normally post for sure at least once a day, and that's in the morning time.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like retweeting. So if you see something that you like from somebody else, you can retweet it, and then people comment or like on that
Yeah.
or follow that person. So you don't necessarily have to every single day, but that does keep your traffic and keep your family or your followers
Right.
engaged.
Sure.
Now, how often does your husband post?
Pretty much every day, and I would say multiple times a day,
Okay.
especially when it is a live PD day. So
Yeah.
when it's a Friday or Saturday, he's definitely engaged before he goes to work, and then when he gets off of work, then he will engage from the comments from the show and things that people saw.
That's
Yeah.
cool because I think people really like having that like personal.
Yes,
You're like,
indeed.
oh my gosh, he responded to me, kind of a
Yes.
thing. Now, does that intimidate you at all?
It doesn't, to be honest with you. It's actually like I look at it as very humbling. Like,
Okay.
'cause I'm like, we're just regular people. These people want to talk to him,
Yeah.
or for that matter, talk to me, and I'm just like, wow, this is pretty cool. And the nice thing is, it's not just him. Like again, Sergeant Valentine, he's very engaging. Deputy Cooper, Deputy Crosby engage with their fans as well. And then you have the other departments that work for us. So like Williamson County, they're on there a ton and they're engaging personally with people, which is pretty awesome. Or they're just posting stuff that happens in their day, whether it's, a drug bust that, was found early in the day, or maybe they went to a school and was reading to a bunch of kids, or a kid wrote them a letter thanking them for their service. I mean, it's really, really awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Yes,
It is
very,
So
great.
you do get a lot of support then,
A
more
ton
than
of
any
support.
haters.
Oh, girl, it's Live PD
Yes.
Nation.
It's Live PD Nation, and then it's also Back the Blue.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
They love them some Live PD, girl.
Yes, they do.
Love them.
well, so you were
should get
talking
a Twitter
about
just for that,
Yeah.
so you can see.
you were talking about the haters.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience with that? Because your husband is out there in front of everybody. People know you're in Franklin County,
Right.
and you have a
I
family.
turned off my volume.
and
I don't know.
you have a
that
family.
you did.
So to be honest with you, no. The answer to that is no. We have not. He's only been on the show for it's been maybe a little over a month. Just because he was given a break to Cooper and Crosby, who were on it the longest.
Yeah.
But no, we really haven't had any haters. Now, the funny thing is, he gets a lot, when is your wife going to be on the show?
Oh,
Really?
And he's
awesome.
like, well, what's wrong with me? You
Aw.
know? But
Well, we're
no,
the
to be
backbones of
honest,
our
we
husbands.
haven't. And that was one of my concerns because I was, of course, in support of him doing it and being a part of the show. But my concern was, as a wife, managing, okay, he might get 100 great comments, but what about that one that might hurt him or
Right,
might
right,
have him
right.
thinking about it all the time? And I'm like, well, how do I manage that as a wife and make sure that I keep him uplifted and that doesn't feed into any type of insecurities or making him do his job any way different, because I just want him to be safe, do his job,
Sure.
and then come home.
And
So
that's where your faith comes in.
it is.
Yes.
Big
It is.
time.
And I pray over my husband. I keep him prayed up in faith, and
Aw.
I just trust God to bring him home every night.
Yeah.
And we tease a lot about badge bunnies, but
Yeah.
you kind of have like a
Yeah, a whole special thing
Yeah,
going on,
so
girl.
you-
Yes, and I mean the badge bunnies are there. It is
yeah,
what it
but
is.
it makes it worse for you because your man's on TV,
but,
girl.
but honey,
He's on there flexing.
but he
honey.
got all this at home. I'm not worried about it.
That's right, girl.
Yes.
It's all about
I'm
confidence.
not. And to be honest, at the end of the day, like, he's a grown man, and I trust him.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna be there regardless. I just expect for him to do what he knows he needs to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
And he's bringing a paycheck home to mama.
yes, girl.
Girl.
Mitts off.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
please.
I guess has it changed Nick at all? Sergeant Williams, has it changed him as a person for the good, the bad, being on TV, or
So actually, it hasn't. Like, I mean, it is. It just so happens that they're catching him doing his job, but it's not. It hasn't changed him. Even in his personal life, it hasn't changed who he is. I think it's been for the good, because kind of like what we talked about with my oldest son and some of the conversations that are being had. He's having a lot of conversations with people, and it's all in a positive light
Sure.
in terms of what law enforcement does and our interactions with people, and just some questions that people want to know that they've never really had the opportunity to ask. They've been able to do that with him. So I think it's been really, really good on both ends, for him and for the public.
sure, kind of
Because that transparency is everything.
absolutely. And piggybacking off of you saying it's made you humbled, it sounds like it's made him humbled as well.
Absolutely. It absolutely has. And he appreciates it. I mean, he doesn't look at it as, oh, I'm a huge TV star. He just looks at it as, hey, I have a platform to do wonderful things for
Sure.
the law enforcement community.
Yeah, that's
so it's
awesome.
been really, really good.
Yes, that is
Absolutely.
awesome. Well, if you guys are just tuning in, we are your Blue Line group with your Blue Line Wives podcast. We have a special guest, Elena. She's a deputy for Franklin County, and her husband is on live PD.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Woo, woo.
Well, talk to us then about like the not so fun parts, because I'm sure that there are some.
You just want juice, girl.
So,
Well, I mean, if I were in this position, like I would be super. If this opportunity was presented to our family, and we had that conversation, like I would ask, like, okay, well, what happens, these
I'd be seeking out every other wives. How's this affect
Yeah,
your
I would
family, your
be-
kids, your husband,
I
your
would-
life?
be apprehensive.
I think because I am also a deputy,
Oh, okay.
I didn't really have that.
Okay.
But I will say, like, initially, because the show is Friday and Saturdays, that used to be his day off.
Uh-huh.
Or Fridays and Saturdays, so we had to switch days off, which is fine. But I was like, that's my me time. That's
Yeah.
when I get to see
Right.
him.
Yeah.
But, I see him on TV, which is just as good. So, so that part is okay. But to be honest, there hasn't been really too much that I can say has been bad about the experience. I do sometimes have a heart attack when I see him on TV with his gun out.
Yeah.
Because usually when the gun is out, that could be bad.
Yeah.
You don't
And
try to
you
call
have-
him, do you?
No, I do not. As much as I want to sometimes, I'm like, seriously?
And
You have
you're
your gun out
trained in that.
again?
So of
Yeah.
all people, I would think that you would be calm with that. Be like, you should have got it out sooner.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's just, I always want him, and even all the other guys, all the other law enforcement, females and males for that matter, that are on the show, just to be careful, because you never really know what can happen.
Yeah.
And it is live. I mean, you're seeing it for what it is. It's not that they're acting, they're not putting on a show. I mean, if something real happens, you will see it on the show.
Is there any type of delay on the show
No,
at all?
there is not.
Not even for
From my
safety reasons.
understanding, there
Okay.
is not. So, yeah.
So has anybody shown up on your doorstep? Knock, knock, knock. Hi, I'm your cousin so and so.
No, they haven't. And I don't really know how my mood would be if they
Right?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be like, excuse me, you're who? But no, I haven't had anybody show up. I mean, we've had a lot of people kind of like when they see him on the show, they may take a picture or a screenshot or something and they send it like, oh my God, we didn't know he was on the show, or he's doing such a great job. Or, you know, we get a lot of compliments in terms of his personality because he's very chill, but
Yeah.
he smiles all the time and he's kind of like almost kind of goofy in a sense where people are like, I didn't know law enforcement officers were like that. And it's like, yeah, we're people too.
Sure.
We're
Right.
not, you know.
So that's what I was going to ask. Do you ever have like a live PD watch party of friends and family from your house?
Not an actual party. We've had family over. Well, I should say I've had family over because he's been on the show, and we've kind of all watched it together. Or if it's not that, a lot of times when like it'll go to commercial, my phone will start blowing up with text messages or phone calls, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, I just saw his traffic stop. What in the world was he thinking?" You know, stuff
I'll
like
be
that.
getting my blanket, my
Yeah.
popcorn,
He
my
comes
Grey
home
Goose.
like, babe, we need to go over some stuff.
Yes, but I was a part of myself and another deputy, Deputy Erica Russell. We were part of having the Live PD Franklin County watch party here. So we were the ones that did all the logistics and the planning, and that was amazing.
Right, because you're in
Amazing.
community relations, correct?
Correct.
Yes. So they actually planned for the whole live PD watch party to come to Franklin County.
Yes.
Oh my,
So,
there was
yeah.
like that was a big to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was. It
How
was
many people do you
huge.
think?
We had
actually-
over 1,000 people.
Yeah, easily.
Easily, and that was the very first one. So we will, in hopes, have another one, and hopefully we have even more people.
Yeah.
So we could do bigger, better. And
That's right.
Yes.
And they can come and get your autograph now too, since
Oh,
you're-
if they want.
yeah. Because actually, Sergeant Williams was working the streets that night for Light PD.
He was, and they showed up and kind of did a little guest appearance, which was pretty cool.
It
'Cause
was
I
cool.
didn't even know he was coming. I was like, "Oh, babe."
Yeah.
But it was not. It was a very nice experience. It was great interacting with the community, and it was just funny. Like I had little girls running up to me, like wanting my autograph, and I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness!" And some of them, they were just like, "We've never seen a female cop before. We've never seen a female deputy before."
Aw.
And I just thought it was the sweetest thing in the world.
is so
Yeah,
So-
using
That's
your
awesome.
position for good and showing that, you know, females can do this
Yes, we
despite what a
can.
lot of other people may think.
That's
Absolutely.
right. So I know your husband grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yes,
Do
he
you guys have
did.
any plans to go back and visit? What is it, Sean Sticks Larkin?
Hopefully in the future that would be pretty awesome. And actually, he's from Tulsa, which that's where Sean is a PD at,
Yeah.
is in Tulsa. So we do go back to Tulsa often. We try to go as much as possible because all of Nick's family is there.
So they are still there.
They are still there. He's actually the only one from his family that's here.
Wow.
So we go back often, and maybe that will be an appearance that we get to
Yes.
make one time.
Is his family
That'd
back
be
at
nice.
home watching the show?
Yes, they are.
They probably see him a
They
lot
don't
more,
miss it.
obviously.
They do. They see him a lot more on the show. So it's nice because they're like, oh my gosh, I actually get to see my brother, you know, or my
Aw.
family member, and I get to see what he does in his job.
Yeah. So is there a sign that he has for you when he's out there? Is it like,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
that's a great
No,
question.
No, not yet. But I kind of told him like, you know, you can always throw in like, hey, I got to go back to my wife at the end of the
Yeah.
day. You know, like just
I
slip it
love
in
her.
there.
She is everything to me.
And I'll be okay with that.
I mean,
Like, hey, boo.
Like,
yeah.
like, hey babe, what's for dinner?
My
I
wife
don't know
is
what are you
the
making.
backbone.
No, but obviously a little sign because guys just get embarrassed saying that stuff.
Yeah, they
Oh,
do.
yeah.
And I don't, to be
He can
honest,
itch his
I-
head or
I mess with him all the time, but I don't expect for him to do that because I do want him to be focused on his
Sure.
Well,
Sure.
that was what
So-
I was going to say is, you know, I try never to call my husband while he's at work, depending on what he's doing, because I don't want to get him off guard or, you know, get him off of his game, depending on what's going on. And then if he doesn't answer, then it's even worse because my
Our
mind's
minds go
going
elsewhere.
Yes.
100 miles an hour, not
Yeah,
knowing
so
what's
live
going
PD
on.
nights, I definitely don't call him or text him. We do kind of
No.
before, and that's about it. And then his regular days here and there, I'll just send him a text just to let him know I'm thinking about him. But
Aw.
outside of that, I just let him do his job.
So explain to us when he comes home. So it's light PD night. He comes home. Are you waiting for him to come home?
I am waiting for him to come
What
home.
what time does he get home?
So the show doesn't go off until midnight.
Yeah.
So he's
Oh, wow.
typically home anywhere about 12:30 or after, and it just depends because sometimes he can still run into things on his way home since he's still in a cruiser.
Sure.
Like one night there was unfortunately on 70 lots of potholes, and so there were like 4 cars that had flat tires, and so he was like literally stopped with one and was helping change the tire, then stopped with another and was helping change the tire. But normally he comes home about 12:30, and then I'm up and I'm awake with him. But the funny thing is, because now that he knows the episode just aired, we have to DVR it. So then I have to stay up another like hour, an
So
hour and
he
a half,
watches.
'Cause you guys
so we
fast
can
forward it.
rewatch it.
Are your kids like trying to stay up? No, we gotta see Dad. We want to talk to him about this.
They do. They definitely do try to stay up. They don't stay up to wait until he's home.
Okay.
But they will stay up to watch the show.
So we are worst critics. Does he come home and critique himself?
Oh, absolutely. He does. He does. And I'm like, there's nothing better that you could have done other than be safe.
Sure.
You went home.
And you came home.
Yeah, everybody came home. So at the end of the day, that's really all I care about.
See, this would be me. I'd be like, hey, babe, I watched you on TV.
Oh, my gosh, girl. Where's that mask?
Now,
Where's
I'm
that
not
mask?
saying that doesn't
Where is this
happen.
coming from? What's the topic of our show
Yeah.
today?
Elena, you want to put that mask on?
I will.
Oh, Amy, give her that mask.
No, the mask is in hiding.
Oh,
It's-
Amy.
she
Well,
lost it.
she's
well,
not gonna
hey,
share.
I'm with you. Like you said, I'm like, hey, babe.
Amen.
You was looking good.
Amen.
that uniform. Wouldn't you
In
be
the-
taking his
in the
uniform off?
pants.
That too.
Yeah.
Let
Yeah.
me just point out that she's a newlywed.
Hey, that's a whole new level. We talk about hearing being safe, hearing the Velcro go off.
Right.
Girl, at your
Yeah.
house, you're like, you know what's about coming.
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed.
But it's probably vice versa when you come home because you got the Velcro too.
I do.
But we're talking about when he gets home after live PD, after
Well,
she just
when
watched her man
she-
sweat and
Yeah.
just pulling that car
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Doing
I
his
think the
thing.
Doing his
feelings are
thing.
mutual, I'm
It
sure.
is. It's mutual. Of course. Half the time he won't even let me like get out of my vest and he's already like hugging me and I'm like, all right, just hold on a minute.
Aw.
Oh, that's super
nice.
cute.
That is nice.
So, but even though they're newlyweds, they've been together for 6 years.
Yeah, almost 6 years.
See,
Yeah. So you trying to tell me you don't hug your husband when he comes home?
oh,
We
you're gonna
just
get a
put the
text
honest
in a minute.
Yeah, and to be honest, we are one of those like I'm not even gonna lie, one of those annoying couples that like we kiss each other every time we come home.
Yeah.
We kiss each other every time we leave. You know, we're always touchy feely and yeah, we're one of those.
So you're one of
Yeah.
those out in public too?
We are.
You're like, get a room.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
That's so
way.
sweet of you, newlyweds.
Oh my gosh. No. So you were telling us before our audio went off, I asked about fan mail.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said he does receive fan mail?
So he does. He gets a lot of letters just from different people just thanking him for his service. Sometimes they're asking questions because they want him to write back, which he does. And then he has been interacting with a lot of other police departments and a lot of other agencies where they've been swapping challenge coins and patches. But just recently he got a care package from a mom and a daughter, and the daughter suffers from autism. And they sent him an autism pin that he can actually wear on his uniform. And so it's in the shape of a heart, and it has the puzzle pieces in the middle of it.
Very
so when
sweet.
you see him on the show on
He's
Fridays
wearing
and
it.
Saturdays, he is wearing it.
Aw.
And
Yes.
it
That's
was just
fan
so
mail.
sweet.
She's
That
close
is
to his heart,
so
that's for
Yes.
sure.
sweet.
And
Does he
it's funny
bring-
too because I receive a lot of stuff too from people.
Do
and I'm
you
just
really?
thinking like, why in the world do they want to write me? Why do they wanna talk
Mrs.
to me?
Williams.
Oh, that's so
Aw.
sweet
It
because they
is.
know that you are the woman that stands behind the man that
Yes,
makes it all
ma'am.
possible.
Yeah, do you bring the fan mail home?
Yes. So a lot of times, like with he and I, we just get it. Like when people ask for our addresses, he will just get it sent to his substation.
Sure.
I get
Right,
it sent to
right.
my office,
Right.
and then we bring it home and we like show each other. And we're like, look what we got today, and
Because it's a good experience for the children to see.
it is. It's awesome. It's very awesome, and they love seeing it. It opens up a lot of conversations for us to have with them, and they want to see like how people are interacting with us, what they think about their dad being on the show. So it's been a really good experience.
Aw.
Really good.
With you in community relations, you actually go to different schools.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever talk to them about YPD? Do they have?
All the time. And it's funny because it's not always the kids. It's a lot of times the teachers because they watch it.
Like, boy, yes, I literally got to talk to you. for a
Yeah.
minute.
And they're like,
The kids
especially-
can't hear this stuff.
Especially when they like see that my husband's on it. Because initially when it was Franklin County, of course they were asking questions. But then when they saw it was my husband were on there and they're like, oh my God, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like that episode last night where he pulled over the pastor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know.
Oh, jeez. So what they do, like, oh, Sergeant Williams, wait, you're Williams. Are
A lot
you?"
of times they
Yeah.
do that.
You should
And-
tease them, like, that's my brother.
Yeah, a lot of times. Well, and it's funny you say that because somebody has actually like told him to his face they thought that like he was my dad.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was like, oh my God, that's like cringeworthy.
No, girl, I'd have been
I
like,
was just
thank
like-
you.
I was just like, well, see, I wasn't there.
I
He
put
just told me
Vaseline on my
about
face.
it.
He doesn't even look that. I mean, he's not even, he's what?
No.
Yeah.
He's not even 40 yet.
Yeah,
So.
he's late 30s. That's insane.
Well, that's just a compliment to how youthful and radiant
Yes,
you look.
and I will take it.
Yes. Now, does your family watch it? Because you mentioned his family.
They do. They cannot wait for it every single Friday and Saturday. They're part of the reason why, like, when it goes to commercial breaks, my phone is blowing showing up
Yeah.
because they're like, oh my God, we just saw Nick. And
Yeah.
they get excited about it. So it's really cool.
So are you sending autographs to people? with-
Not autographs. He does.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are you
Um,
sending it to family members or people that they go to school with?
So he has sent stuff home to Tulsa. And then my family has actually asked because they just did pictures of him. They're like, can you please sign that so we can put it up? They want to like put it in a frame and put it in the house.
That's cute.
So
Oh, that's
Very cute.
nice.
Talking about Tulsa, how long was he there? How long did he live there?
Pretty much his whole life. He's been in Columbus, Ohio for almost 15, 16
Girl, where's his
years
accent?
now.
I respect.
It's funny. If you pay attention to it
Guess
long
I would.
enough, you can hear it. And then if he gets like really excited or his adrenaline gets going, oh, it comes on.
Really?
Oh, yes, it does.
I bet it's bad when he goes home.
It is.
you
Because
pick it back up.
He picks it right back
Yeah.
up.
And then he has to adjust when he comes back here.
He tries.
So
Now-
what brought him here?
Actually, it was a friend of his. They both were from Tulsa, and his friend was coming here to go to college, and he was just doing visits back and forth. It was one of his best friends,
Oh, okay.
and he was doing visits back and forth, and he just got to the point where he was like, you know what, I would be kind of interested in coming and staying and maybe going to school here. And so that's what ended up happening, and then he just stayed, and he never left.
Aw.
Yeah.
And then how did you guys meet then?
So we actually met at the sheriff's office. At the time, we were both working in the jail. So we were working at the Jackson Pike facility, Franklin County Correction Center, too. And we legitimately just started off as friends. Like
we were checking him out, girl, in his uniform.
Well, the funny thing is,
He was checking her out,
the funny
too.
thing is, I thought I was, and then once we finally got to the point where we were like talking and dating, he was like, no, he was like, I saw you the first day that you started at the sheriff's office.
Oh, yeah, girl.
Like
Aw.
him
But-
and another deputy kind of were like spying because they heard there were like new girls in the class. And I'm like, are you serious?
So wait, how long was it before you guys ended up dating after you met?
It was about, oh my goodness. So it had to be at least 4 years
Yep.
after
Really?
we had met. Yeah. So it was quite some time.
Boy took his sweet time, didn't he?
Yeah. It's longer than Jamie over here for a year.
So they had just had to let it build, you know.
Yeah, it was
That's
like
why
3
they're
or
all
4.
PDA
Yeah.
and stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
that's
it's
why they still
summer.
have
She
that. Trust me,
Like
you'll
to
get
take
over
his
that.
Velcro off.
We still have it as of now.
Yeah. But you had mentioned earlier before we went live that he actually left the jail and went
To patrol.
to patrol.
Yes.
And you realized then, like, yeah, I miss him.
Yeah, I kind of was like, where's my friend? I really miss
Aw.
him. Like,
Yeah.
because I was just so used to seeing him every day, or like depending on where he was working, he would call and like tell me funny stories about what happened, and we just clown together. To be honest with you, and I was like, I kind of miss that. Like now he's just gone.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things where I was like, okay, maybe I'm liking him a little bit
Yeah.
more than
Why?
I think I am.
Right. Who made the first initial move? Like who?
It was him.
Oh yeah.
It was him. Yeah.
So he just called you one day, or
Yeah, and just kind of was like, "Hey, would you be interested in maybe like talking a little more than just friends?" And I was like, "Yeah."
I've been waiting on this phone call for
What took
4
you so
years.
long?
Right.
I'm glad you got my number, boo.
Right.
Well, they say that great friends make great lovers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes great relationships.
It's
so.
been great so far, so I'm thankful for that.
Yes, absolutely. And then you guys are a blended family.
We are. Yes. So we have a 12, 6, and 4-year-old. And the 2 oldest are mine from a previous marriage, and the younger one is his from a previous marriage. So
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 yeah.
how's your family dynamic going on with you're both doing the same job?
actually really good. Like we have really good co-parenting relationships on both sides of
Good.
things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The kids get along like you literally would think they all came out the same womb. I mean,
Right.
to be honest, it's like the best situation that you could possibly be in. I mean, granted, it took some work and it's still going to
Sure.
take work. We have to, give on both ends of everything and both be willing to compromise on stuff. But I mean, it's been really, really awesome. Like I have no complaints, which
That's
is great.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
she showed us a picture earlier. Super cute.
Thank
yes,
you.
yes. No, very, very. So do you get? So you have your kids obviously live with you full time.
Yes.
Does the youngest one live with you full time as
So
well?
co-parenting as well. And that's just between mom and us, but we have a really good
Relationship. That's good.
We have a really good routine that works well. And I mean, anytime that mom needs anything from us, we are more
We're
than
there,
willing,
yeah.
and vice versa. So
Yeah.
Maybe we
it's
should
been
do a
really
show on
good.
that.
Yeah.
How to co-parent well.
Well,
I guess you have to
Um,
have both sides of that working on them.
Well,
Yes.
girl, we'd be for my sake would be like 15 years too late.
Well, and like I said, it took some work, but
Yeah.
thankfully we're in a good place.
That's
So-
awesome.
No, it is awesome because I could not be a step parent. I don't think
Yeah,
I really could.
that's a very, very hard
I
job.
don't think I could.
I mean, I couldn't do it probably
Mm-hmm.
very well. My husband does it amazingly.
Yeah,
I
I
just-
couldn't.
yeah.
Because we've all noticed the kid crying in Kroger's, and we're like, if that was my kid, I'd beat it. But then it's happened to us. It's happened where that kid's cried. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Right.
get over here,
You know
bribing
what?
it.
I
I'll buy
used
you some
to-
candy.
yeah.
Get over here.
I used to be really annoyed by the parent that didn't parent their child, but now I've been there. I've done it. I see the crying
Yeah.
kid in Kroger, and I'm like, yeah, I feel sorry for that mom.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like, whoo, it's not mine.
I know, I know. I was like, that mom must be like at the end of her rope. She doesn't even
She's
care
done.
anymore. Just let the kid cry. I get it. I get it.
You know how you can,
Like, you do you, girl.
yeah, you know,
You do you.
You know how you can buy those individual, like, liquors? Go buy one and
Well,
go.
little-
I-
Give it- I think
no.
you might need this, sweetie. That crying brat of yours.
Have a
next to you.
good
No, I'm
day,
kidding.
honey.
I'm
Have a good
kidding.
day.
So
So
she has more kids than us.
I'm curious, like just being a female officer or
Yes.
deputy, excuse me. What is the hardest part of that for you, being a mom too? You know, I mean, that's got to be a challenge.
So, I don't know. I don't think that there has been any challenges, to be honest with you. I mean, it is different because most people are used to seeing men play that role.
Right.
But women are just as capable. I mean, we can do the same job.
If
I
not
mean,
better.
If not better, and still go home and be mom.
That's
Like,
right.
I mean, it's literally that on and off switch. But I will tell you, being a mom actually helps my role as a deputy because it can teach me things like patience, you know,
Compassion.
the problem solving of our jobs that we have to do a lot of times because even though we don't always necessarily want to listen to everything, we have to because we have to figure the situation out. We have to do it in a split
Solutions,
second.
yeah.
I mean, so I think my roles in my regular life outside of my deputy role make me a better deputy. So
So do you have a problem turning that switch
I was
on and
gonna
off?
ask. Yeah.
I don't.
How long did that take you?
I would say it did take some time. So when I first started off, I was working in the jail. That did take me some time. It was kind of like because I was just so used to being in those four walls
Yeah.
and everything was kind of like, okay, I'm going to ask you to do something. If you don't do it, I'm going to tell you. And if you don't do it when I tell you, I'm going to make you. And then I had to realize like, okay, that's there and I need to leave that there. And a lot of times we'll say just leave work where it is. And that's a lot easier said than done.
Right.
But it did take me some time to really realize like, okay, work is what it is. And I need to be thankful that I'm home and I need to spend the time and invest the time in my roles here as mom and as a wife and as a friend. So, and it helps because that is very much a stress reliever for me where I can go home and that just be paradise. So,
Can I ask you, what made you decide to do this for a living?
so actually there were two reasons. And it started when I was really, really young, like
Okay.
very, very young. So the first reason was my family. So a lot of my family on my dad's side, they were on the other side of the law. So growing up as a little girl, seeing them getting into trouble, seeing their choices and consequences, they were very much a deterrent for me. And so it was like I saw the way that they were living their lives and I knew I didn't want that for myself. And it didn't necessarily mean that I was going to be in law enforcement. I just knew I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, so you learned from the experience
I
instead of being
did.
part of the
I
experience.
did. And then part of that too, when you're so young and naive, you just kind of think, well, maybe if I'm on the other side, I can help keep them out of those places, you know? And granted, as I got older, I realized I can't make their choices for them. I can't dictate their consequences for them. But that was one of the reasons that it led me down that path. And then the second reason was also when I was growing up, anytime I would see law enforcement or interact with law enforcement, it was always like older white males. And not that that was a bad thing. It was actually the reason that I was like, well, why don't I see any female deputies or officers, or why don't I see any people of color? And so I decided a long time ago, I'm like, I want to be the change that I didn't see when I was growing up. And I want people to look like me, to talk like me, to act like me. So that's a piece when I go out into the community that literally breaks barriers. So those were really like my two reasons.
And being on live PD for your husband, you can relate that to him, and then he
Very
definitely
much
can
so.
make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, and hopefully he feels the same way.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he loves it. He's always wanted to be in law enforcement. And to be honest, neither of us really knew where we were going to end up. We just knew we wanted to be in the criminal justice field somewhere. So,
God had a plan.
yeah.
Yes,
he
he did.
He did.
So before we go off air here, do you have any advice for other wives whose husbands out there in the live PD nation? Is there any advice?
Or just, you know,
Yeah,
police
just-
wife.
Just police wives.
Just because you're obviously a deputy and you can relate on that
Yes.
side.
I would just say, I mean, just support them as much as possible. A lot of times they don't come home and tell us everything. So sometimes we don't see all the wounds that they have
Right.
or that stick with them and, you know, in their duration of what they do in their day. So I just say be as supportive as possible. And I know sometimes it's hard, especially when you're mom and your wife and you're doing stuff all day and you're like, I just want you to come home and be with me and make it all about you. But sometimes you do have to make it about your husband. And not only that, just be his peace, be his, you know, paradise that he can come home and just unleash or just let it all go. Or just, even if you're sitting there and you're doing nothing together, at least he's there with you doing it.
So you're saying make it, I guess, peaceful for him to want to come home.
Well, yes, that too. That too.
Want to come home, yeah. So if you are asking your spouse, your Leo spouse, of like about their day, and if you maybe hear it on the news that clearly something went sour.
Right.
Do you kind of keep pressing, or do you just say, hey, when you're ready to talk, I'm here?
So I do a little bit of both. Sometimes I kind of press because if I don't question, a lot of times it just won't come out of him. He'll
Right.
keep it in. But I don't press to the point that it's kind of like where I'm just like nagging or he's used to
Right.
hearing it all the time.
Right.
Like I literally make it as sincere as possible
Right.
because I want him to know I care. But I also don't want him to hold that on his shoulders because as men, they're already holding a lot of weight on their shoulders
Sure.
anyways. And so I want him to understand like we're in this together. You don't have to, not talk to me or you don't have to tell me about something. And a lot of times when they can just talk about it, that's usually really good for them. It's very healing.
Sure,
So-
sure. And then you're able as a spouse, especially with us, to understand them a little bit better.
Right. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
he probably needs time to let that switch too.
He does. He definitely does.
You know, I mean, you've known him long enough to know how long it takes.
Oh,
and-
yes.
And if he needs to talk about it, you need to give him.
Does he
space
turn that
too.
switch off when he gets home?
He does. And that
How
took
come
him-
my
that
husband's
took
the only one that does not?
him- Well, I mean, considering he's the chief, it's probably
Still.
really hard for him.
Even before that. I mean,
Yeah, I think like for him, sometimes I don't ask him maybe as soon as he gets home. Sometimes I'll let him take his uniform off, take a shower, maybe get something to eat. And then I'm like, hey, how was your day?
mhm.
Or, I mean, clearly if it's Live PD day, I know how his day was.
Sure.
But on the days that it's not, I'm just like, hey, how was your day? Anything you want to talk about, anything that's bothering you. And I let him know it's okay to feel however you want to feel. That's
Sure.
normal. Just don't sit in that feeling. Make that something temporary,
Mhm.
and then let's try to move on and build
Right.
from that.
Yeah, learn from it or
Right.
make it a
Right.
great experience.
Right.
And move
Let's go
on.
get margaritas.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, what do we have coming up?
So coming up, super pumped about this one. But we're gonna call it the Blue Line Wives. How well do you know your Leo
That's right.
wedding game or
Uh-huh.
marriage game?
And Amy thinks she's going to bait me.
Watch, I'm
She
going to
did say
fail
that.
miserably.
Right.
No,
Don't wear your mask, girl, because I'll be laughing the whole time.
I'm going to throw you off your game with my mask.
We also have an author coming in.
Yes, yes. He's his book is going to be released fall of 2019 on Amazon.
He's a deputy.
He is for Delaware,
Mhm.
and he talks about his experience, the raw, unedited,
Oh, I
the
can't
good,
wait for
bad, and
that.
ugly.
Good.
Yes,
can't
and
wait
the
for
stuff that
that.
he has suffered that he never brought home to his wife. And he talks a lot about all his mistakes and all the life lessons he's learned.
That'll be cool.
So that will be on the
Very cool.
14th.
So if there's anything that you guys want to hear about specifically, please let us know. We're happy to bring it up.
Yeah.
Yep,
Do you
just
wanna talk
comment
about
comment on our Facebook page, email us at bluelinegroupofohio@gmail.com. Our Facebook page is Blue Line Group Real Estate Services. Any topic you want to talk about, any messages you want to send us, any comments.
Any scandalous topics, we're happy
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
accommodate.
We're
Let us
all-
know.
We're
wanna
all adults here.
If you want to send pictures of you wearing a mask
Yeah.
side by side by Amy.
Mass selfies.
That's right.
You only
massive
wish you
selfies.
could pull off the mask.
Oh,
like
girl,
me.
next week I'll bring my own mask in because it is Mardi Gras.
That's right.
And I
it
could find me a
is.
mask.
Okay,
Watch
you're
it.
on.
Watch
You're
it.
on.
Well, we want to thank Elena for
Thank
being
you
our special
guys.
guest.
You guys are awesome.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
thank
That was
you.
awesome.
Yes, and so we are live from LEPD Firearm and Range off of Bethel Road. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we are your Blue Line Group.
Bye.
See you next week, guys.
Bye.
Have a great week.
Woo, woo.